So let's get started. Hello everyone, we are Team Spider 1622, and for today's workshop, we'll be talking about sponsorships and building a brand. So first off, let's get into speaker introductions.
My name is Jenna Cow. I'm currently a senior and the president of Team Spider. I'm going into my 4th year of FRC Robotics and FRC. And last year I was the executive assistant or secretary. And I was also pit presenter for judges and business.
Hi, my name is May. I'm a rising senior at Poway High School. I'm the treasurer of Team Spider, and this will be my 4th year in FRC and FRC. And this past season, I was a Chairman's Award presenter.
Hello, my name is Madeline Nguyen. I'm an up-and-coming junior. I'm the Chief Products Officer / VP of Robot. I'm going into my 6th year in FRC Robotics and my 4th year in FRC. I was the previous Vice President of Public Relations. I was a Chairman's Award presenter for 2020, and I'm one of the first Dean's List winner for this year.
So first, I want to review some fundraising and branding background on Team Spider. Over the past 16 years, Team Spider has won multiple FRC Robotics competition awards for entrepreneurship and imagery. We won the Imagery Award at Championships Touring Division in 2019, the Canadian Rockies Regional in 2018, and the Utah and Idaho Regional in 2016. We also won the Entrepreneurship Award at the Canadian Rockies Regional in 2019, the Hawaii Regional in 2018, and the San Diego Regional in 2016. We've also hosted the Houston Championship Conference for Sustainable Fundraising in 2019 and was asked again to host for the 2020 season, but it was unfortunately canceled. Our curriculum can be easily accessed, found, and downloaded on our Team Spider website, which has reached over 180 countries. So when building sustainable fundraising and sponsorships, we want to start by asking ourselves questions that will guide an organized plan. Examples of these questions would be why and what are you fundraising for? What are your vision, mission, and goals? Do they align with your fundraising? Have you created a business plan or a fundraising plan? And what are you giving to those that donate? These questions will be key to guiding your whole process and finding your target market and target goals that will help you raise funds for your team. Asking and answering these questions as an entire team will help increase team member involvement and interest. You want to consider your team's dynamic, environment, and attitude because these discussions will also prompt and broaden fundraising ideas and projects that will be specific to your team. The first and most important question you want to ask yourself and your team would be why and what are you fundraising for? There are different ways to answer this question, but the one that will help build the most sustainable foundation for your team are defining your vision, mission, and goals. Your vision is where and what you see your team working towards in the next few years. Asking your team, what change are you trying to make or overarching goal you are trying to achieve? Your mission is your main plan of action to achieve this vision. So, what should your team do to make this vision possible? And your goals will be the stepping stones to complete the vision and mission. How can you break down the mission into more detailed and feasible tasks? Think down top-down processing. Defining these terms will design a clear path for the team and have everyone on the same page. This is why it will be crucial to make the vision, mission, and goals as concise and coherent as possible. When team members have a clear idea of what they are working towards, they will not just have a simple goal, but a clear image of their team's future. So ask yourself and each team member, am I committed? Because it is through the team's own passion, action, willing to take risks, and persistence that will progress and bring success to the team. Without members that are inspired to carry out these goals, the team will be stagnant and have difficulty to achieve any of the goals. Many teams have trouble when it comes to fundraising because the team members are more invested in building a robot than raising the funds to build it. This is why it will be important to emphasize and encourage team spirit in all aspects of the team. Full participation in team effort will help the team grow, especially if the team has an accurate aim of what they are moving towards. Remember, a driven and connected team will be key to reaching your goals. Team Spider utilizes this strategy and adapts a new vision, mission, and goals every 5 years. The team leaders, mentors, and coaches all work together to brainstorm the purpose and future plan of action that best fits the team for the new chapter. For example, last year, as we met the end of our previous 5-year chapter, we updated our vision, mission, and goals to not only impact our local community, but our global community as well. Our vision was to build a generation of leaders prepared to inspire global change through STEM education. And our mission was to transform our community locally and globally by promoting STEM diversity, especially for the underserved and disadvantaged. A strategy that helped the team focus on a specific vision and mission is pointing out keywords or phrases that your team wants to build upon. Ideas such as STEM diversity and generation of leaders are examples of this. You want your purpose and goals to be attainable so you can see the effects and progress that will inspire the team and remind them that it is possible. When deciding for the next chapter, you also want to think about growing your impact and vision. Taking in this type of program will make once thought of as unobtainable goals obtainable. It's also significant to remember that it's not just the robotics members that make the community, but also the families and businesses that support the team. All parts working together make the vision and mission achievable. You want to think bigger than just what your team can do. You want to connect and extend your aims and purpose to other groups and organizations that have or believe in the same vision or mission, because this will lead to a stronger community and stronger impact. A mistake that some teams may make is excluding the team effort solely to students and/or coaches. Parents and families are a large part of a working team because they can encourage students and become supportive mentors. Using these given relationships and building upon them will grow your community and give more opportunities to the team members and the team. Coordinating with businesses also help not just the team or just the business, but the overall community. Now, once the vision, mission, and goals are clear, the team can begin making their business and fundraising plans. A part of your business plan would be your budget, which is your estimate of income or expenditure for the robotics season. The vision, mission, and goals will guide what your priorities will be and how you will be spending your funds. It should be simple, accurate, and transparent, because it will tell your sponsors what your needs are. This part of communication will make it easier for partners to provide the funds in the right places that your team needs. Of course, being honest with your data will be vital to building your team's fundraising and branding. It will help build reputation and reliable partnerships. Another guide is to make financial decisions and requisitions, such as team purchases and reimbursements, is a vote system with the first and second, so that it is a team decision and so every member is aware of how the funds are being used. The system is supervised and checked by the coaches, but is mainly student-led to encourage teamwork and student initiative. The graph that you can see here is a simple explanation of the team's budget. This data should include the funds and costs of the entire robotic season, not just the build season or just the robot parts. Another example that helps communicate transparent budgeting would be through a donation tracking log. This example separates the different donation groups and provides the target goals for each group fund. This particular donation tracking log would split the parents, students, and sponsors. And you would be able to see which groups you can expect to provide more funds or others that you might want to work on. These numbers and data will also change year by year due to new team members and new season situations. Keeping track of this data can also help you find a pattern in your funds and donations, which will come in hand when creating and writing the business and fundraising plans. A template of this donation tracking log can also be available and shared by Team Spider for all teams.
Once a budget has been written up, the team can begin a plan of how funds will be obtained. Sponsors can be found and reached through different forms, such as donations, local fundraising events, legislation, grants, scholarships, and/or awards. Donations can be monetary or in kind, like food or machine donations from companies or teams. Local fundraising events that Team Spider does are e-waste, snap raise, and discount cards. An example of legislation would be Team Spider's coordination with Assemblymember Brian Mainsheim and FTC Team Inspiration to pass the AB 624 Robotics Club tax credit bill that would give companies incentives to support robotics clubs by encouraging more donors to contribute funding to students' interest in STEM. Teams can also apply for grants, awards, and scholarships that can be found through FIRST and/or mentor work relationships. Team Spider takes the time during the pre-build season to run more fundraising events, but still continues to run them nonstop throughout the year. When it comes to successful fundraising, there are 3 key components to remember. Firstly, you want to build trust with your sponsors so that they'll be willing to give you the funding that you need. Secondly, you'll need to grow the relationship so that it is a long-lasting one. This ensures that you'll be able to depend on the sponsor to support you again in the future. Thirdly, you need to give back once you have developed a relationship. As in any good friendship, both people give to each other so that it is mutually beneficial. By making professional relationships and maintaining them, your team will build up a strong network of sponsors, which greatly increases your chances of fundraising successfully every season. The first 2 components of successful fundraising depend heavily on transparency. Being transparent, whether it is about your goals, reasons for fundraising, or budget, is vital in building a lasting relationship because it ensures that the relationship starts on a solid foundation of trust. By being clear about your goals and what you need to achieve them, the sponsor will be able to understand exactly what they are helping you towards and how you're using their money. As Jenna mentioned before, there are many ways to be transparent, including through a budget or donation tracking plan. Of course, making something like a budget before you have the money is weird. You don't even know how much money you'll have to work with. That's okay though, just estimate. Even if you end up being off, what you demonstrated to the sponsor is that you tried to plan ahead, thus showing your commitment to yourself and your goals. If the sponsor does decide to help fund your team, they want to see you actually use the money to carry out your goals. Planning ahead is one way to show that you're actively doing all you can to reach your goals. The last component of successful fundraising, giving back, can be achieved by creating a tier donation structure. Below is a picture of Team Spider's tier donation structure. Our structure is organized into 6 levels: smaller donations, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. Simply put, each level is based on the amount of funding, which results in different methods of representing the sponsor on our robot, uniforms, website, etc. But of course, there are many ways to support your sponsors. For example, you could also help push events that they host on social media. If you would like to see our tier donation structure breakdown, again, it can also be viewed on Team Spider's website. Good marketing is crucial for successful fundraising. Listed here in sequential order are the steps of marketing, and as you can see, fundraising is actually the last step. Marketing starts with entrepreneurship, taking the chance to go out and find sponsors in order to support your team. After deciding to do that, you must create a business plan, which will lay out the team's vision, mission, and goals. How you reach out to potential sponsors will depend on who the sponsors are. So identifying a target market will allow you to then create a marketing plan that'll attract the potential sponsors you want. After planning all of your steps out, you'll then put it into action with the actual fundraising itself. On the right, you can see a marketing planning process graphic, which we can use to create a successful marketing plan. Although not shown here, Team Spider has developed its own fundraising curriculum, which comprises of two units. The first unit, titled Entrepreneurship, focuses specifically on all the parts of a business plan. The second unit is titled Fundraising, a Community Effort, and talks more in depth about the importance of being driven by your goals and the different types of fundraising. If you are interested in using our curriculum, please contact us or Team Spider because we are more than willing to share it with you. Marketing isn't just used for fundraising though, despite the name. Since Team Spider's vision and mission is to create a generation of STEM educators that will bring STEM to all local and global communities, its target market would be students interested in STEM. Defining this group of people makes it easier to design tasks to further educate these students. For example, if you are working with high school students, you would probably want to design a hands-on event with a higher level of rigor as compared to a simpler Lego project for younger elementary school students. Marketing requires entrepreneurship, and to be an entrepreneur, you need to take risks, which can be scary. If things go wrong, you could have just wasted a lot of time, effort, and money. But by conducting a SWOT analysis, you'll be able to take risks safer. Conducting a SWOT analysis requires you to realize the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to your team. On the right of the screen here, you can see a sample SWOT analysis chart. For example, some strengths could be the motivated students on the team or the facilities that the team has. Opportunities could be the sponsors that you could potentially attract or experienced mentors that you have. But maybe your team also has weak funding and is threatened by a potential loss of student interest. Keeping this in mind will allow you to not only create better plans that reduce error, but also create a contingency plan. The contingency plan is essentially your backup plan for just in case something goes wrong. Before talking about branding, I wanted to leave you with this piece of advice for fundraising. Firstly, fundraising is hard, and rightfully so. People like their money and don't part with it easily, especially when they don't get something worth it in return. But don't worry, there are people who will be willing to fund your team, so don't stress too much about the money. Just keep trying and the money will show up. Secondly, fundraising isn't about trying to get enough money to build a fancy robot in order to get a title or award. Fundraising is about finding something that you are passionate about and want to work towards and putting yourself out there to ask for support along the way. Similarly, winning and being successful is about obtaining your goals. So put your goals first, work hard for them, and good things will follow.
So branding. When it comes to branding, it's important that your team has a marketing plan. Make sure your market plan is tied to your team vision, mission, and goal. If your team doesn't already have a vision, mission, and goal, we highly recommend that you come up with one. The plan should also include target funding goals and make sure it's transparent so everyone on the team is aware of what's happening with the budget, branding, and marketing. It's also important that all members are part of the team branding. Not only should you use the design process on your robot, but also to come up with your marketing plan. When it comes to standards, logos, and trademarks, it's important that they have a unifying thematic visuals that tie them to all aspects of the team. Your team branding should be consistent throughout your entire team and everything your team produces. Ideally, your team should come up with a document that has all of your team's individual branding standards. Some of the things that we put in our branding standards are commonly used fonts, exact hex codes for colors, and what changes you can make to the logo and what you can't change, and even design tips from past imagery leads. Both virtually and in person, from your team's website and social media to documentation, email signatures, handouts, and etc., everything should be consistent. When it comes to communication, it's essential to include your team's branding, especially when it comes to communicating with sponsors, judges, other teams, and at outreach events. It helps your team be more recognizable, familiar, and memorable. Ways our team uses branding and communication are logo designs, business cards, team shirts and uniforms, drive team uniforms, print design, handouts and brochures, and buttons. Your team's branding will make a big impact on what people's impression of your team are. It's important to look professional and put together. The easiest way to do that is to have a clean team image. With the logo design, it's important to have multiple variations of your team's basic logo. Not only should your logo be able to shrink for smaller things like buttons, but also expand for bigger things like banners. Here you can see all the different variations of our main logo. It's also good to make sure you're using the right variation of your team logo for the right job. For buttons, it should be small and simple, so it's easy to recognize and see. For bigger things like banners, you can use more intricate and busy logos. Also having multiple logos for different aspects of your team. We have our safety logo, which incorporates our main spider logo. For our logo designs, we use the Adobe Suite, but more specifically Illustrator and Photoshop. When it came to logo design, we wanted to have clean colors and an easily recognizable design, which is why we went with the colors black and white. It's good to have team colors that complement each other and are easily read on top of each other. Having colors that aren't too bright but not too subtle. We wanted to somewhat include our school colors as well, which are green, gray, white, and black. I also highly recommend that you guys make a monochrome version of your logo for when you need to put your logo on something that only has one color or two colors. Our colors on our logo are also interchangeable, which is nice for when we're printing our logo on papers and other things with a white background. This isn't mandatory, but it's a good thing to keep in mind when coming up with your team's logo. On our logo, you can see we also have many sharp lines and a unique design, so it's easy to remember and recognize. For majority of our team logos, we have our team number because it's another way that people can remember and recognize our branding. Having a logo that's not too complicated but not too simple is very important. Remember, this logo will be seen on basically everything that has to do with your team. When it comes to business cards, it's important to include coaches and student leadership. So if anyone is interested in speaking with a specific sub-team, they know exactly who to contact. It's also important to include team logos, but also keeping the business card clean and easy to read. In the past, we've also had our vision and mission on them. We get new business cards every year to update student leadership. We hand out business cards to basically everyone we want to stay in contact with or to whoever wants to contact us. Also, including your team's website and social media on the business card is a good idea. Majority of our coaches and team leads carry business cards on them. For team shirts, we like to have a thematic design that ties to the year's specific theme. It's important to remember who will be wearing these shirts and who will see them. People should always be able to recognize your team shirts from far away and easily see your team logo. On the back of our shirts, we also include all of our sponsors and the school that we're affiliated with. We like to keep our shirts clean and simple with not too many logos and designs on them. We've also had hoodies and jackets that include our team logo or our team number down the sleeve and the first logo down the other sleeve. On our team polos, we have an embroidered logo, team logo, on the heart. We do this so that it has a clean look that's simple and professional. For our chairman's presenters, we actually have them wear formal wear or professional wear. Sometimes we even do seasonal merch. 2 years ago, we made team Christmas sweaters for fun. For many of the events we host, like First League qualifiers and international events, like the Robotics competition we hosted in Paraguay last year, we like to do staff shirts. We've also made shirts for our summer camps and even teams and organizations we're affiliated with, like the Poway High School Engineering Academy. Our team uniforms are worn by our drive team. Every year, we like to come up with themed drive suits to make our drive team easily recognizable and unique. Not only are our drive team costumes visually really cool, but we make sure they have tons of pockets to hold everything the drivers may need. Many times, we also have cool Easter eggs on our costumes as well. Last year's uniforms had different names of Star Wars pilots on the sleeve. On our costumes, we also include our safety patch and motto. These costumes are easy to put on and just go over your clothes, so at a moment's notice, the team can change drivers if needed. All of our costumes are DIY and made by hand. Normally, we buy basic drum suits and add vinyl decals and patches with our team logos and numbers. For branding on the robot, many teams like to powder coat their robot parts with their team colors. That's a great way to brand your robot to reflect your team. We like to have plastic panels on our robot with vinyl decals. They're clean looking and have our logos, webs, and sponsors. We use Velcro to attach them to the robot so we can easily take them off if we need to access anything on the inside of our robot. Our robots are easily recognizable from the field from anywhere in the stands. Scouters can easily see which of the robots are ours, and whenever we take photos, our robot easily stands out. For those who can't access powder coating, having plastic panels with vinyl is a great option that's affordable, and even if you just don't have time during build season, it's a really quick method to brand your robot. For pit design, it's important to have your team logo big and recognizable from a distance. As you can see, our pit is easily recognizable from our large logo and webs that are visible from almost every angle. For our pit, we specifically made sure that you can condense it down to just one tote, so it's easy to travel with anywhere. It's lightweight and easy to assemble. Not only that, but you could also transform it into half a pit for outreach events that have a small venue. It's important that the pit can function as multiple things. It should be ready to repair the robot at a moment's notice, a place to talk with judges and other teams, and somewhere that can almost act like a home base for the entire team. We made sure that our pit takes minimal space and stores all of our robot totes and tools. Something that we also like to make are handouts, brochures, announcements, and newsletters. We like to send these out to our school district, parents, sponsors, and using them for presenting to judges and handing out at competitions. It's an easy way to convey lots of information to many people. It's important to include logos, graphics, and good formatting, so it's easy to read and understand. In the past, we were also able to use these as documentation to look back on previous years. For buttons, we like to have a thematic visual based on the year. The button designs you see on the slides are from 2018 for Power Up. We went with an old-fashioned video game theming. We also have our basic safety and basic logo buttons that we use for between seasons and when we're specifically promoting our safety. It's important to have an easily recognizable button that's clean and simple. We like to have fun with our team's branding. We like to do Alliance Awards, senior gifts, mentor gifts, and other fun knickknacks to hand out during competition and at outreach events. Some of the fun things we've done before in the past are posters, watches, magnets, awards, name tags, and banners. We also like to give out things to highlight certain aspects of our team. This last year, we made scrunchies, coloring books, stickers, and even challenge coins that were all made to promote our team's safety. Team branding isn't just the things that you hand out, but also how people see your team. We also have a spider mascot and a fire extinguisher costume that you can see at almost all of our competitions in the stands and walking around. And also they are DIY and made by hand. The most important thing about branding is to have fun with it and keep it consistent through your entire team and everything your team does. Thank you all for tuning into our workshop on sponsorships and building a brand. We'll now be answering questions that you may have about sponsorships and building a brand. And be sure to contact us on Instagram if you have any extra questions or want any documentation at Spider1622.
Okay, I'm hoping the stream can hear me. I'm going to have that checked on right now, but we have 2 questions in the chat right now. Eslor says, how did you know you wanted to be in the team and be in the position you are now?
I guess we can all go around. I did previously First Lego League and First Tech Challenge before going to Poway High School and joining Team Spider. And I've always really enjoyed doing both outreach and mechanical work. So it kind of felt natural for me to end up being the VP of Robot and having a background in PR as well.
May, do you want to go?
Sure. So I joined robotics freshman year because I thought I had been in Science Olympiad in middle school and just thought that I definitely wanted to go into a career in STEM. So I just joined the robotics team to try it out. And then I discovered that I really liked it. So I stuck with it. And I think I really got into it more as I actually went to the competitions and went through build season, because that's when you do a lot more of the hands-on work. And for becoming treasurer, I didn't really give much thought to it. I think it was just a position that was open, and then I kind of applied for it and got it.
Did you enjoy it, May?
Yeah.
So for me, I got into robotics because I had a friend in middle school that was doing it, and I found it incredibly cool and interesting. So when I went into high school, I joined my freshman year because it was my school's team. And so I first went and tried to go into programming, but the groups were full, so they were trying to recruit people into the electrical team. And so I went on to electrical for 2 years, became the electrical lead the second year, and I found that I also wanted to know more of the business side of the team. And so last year I was the secretary of the team and learned more about all aspects of the team. And I found that I enjoyed learning about business and then also about the robot. And I also wanted to lead our team to our vision and mission. And so I applied for president, and that is what I am now.
That's my president.
Okay, so we have V. Joe. He asks, my team is a rookie team that has to compete with 3 other teams within a single small city. How can I differentiate my team from others?
I think the biggest thing is having unique factors about your team. So as Team Spider, something that we're kind of really known for is our safety program and also our chairman's program. And that's something that we tend to excel at. And once we kind of got an understanding of what we were good at, we kind of pursued that. At first, we never really implied or tried to be a safety team. We just kind of ended up winning the award. And we found, hey, it's something we're kind of good at. Let's do it, you guys. And I think ever since I think it was the first year we ever, or like the second year we ever competed, we won the safety award. Ever since then, we've been working at safety, and I think we're at 23 safety awards now. So definitely having unique factors to your team that kind of differentiates you from other teams around in your area.
I agree with Madeline, and it also goes back to the idea of the vision, mission, and goals, because once you find out, oh, this is what my team is good at, and this is what we want to focus on, once you have a clear goal of what you want to do, it kind of puts yourself out there, and it makes it really easy to emphasize different things and become known for different topics.
Yeah, adding on to what Madeline said, I think for a rookie team, if you want to focus on chairmans, it might not be something you could do right away, but you can prepare for it by hosting events like outreach events and just starting to prepare your documentation so that you can build up like your chairman's resume.
Yeah, it definitely takes time, but like we said earlier, having a vision, mission, and goal, basically just having a clear goal in your head of what you want to achieve really helps you along the way, and not only shooting for certain awards. Because it's really important to dip your feet in basically everything that FRC has to offer, because you never know what your team may be good at.
I also think it's really important.
Go ahead, my bad.
Yeah, I also think it's really important to show the passion that you have in robotics, because judges, when you're talking to them and when you're talking to other people, when you see that this is something they're really into, it's really inspiring, and that you can tell those are the people that are really into it.
Kenny Lee says, how is your team organized, specifically the positions related to maintaining sponsorship, creating the budget and graphics, etc.?
So actually, we recently updated our leadership, the way we do our leadership. So the way that we do it is we have our main president that mainly works with, coaches and mentors and works as a form of communication between the student body and the mentors. And underneath the president, we have 3 VPs: VP of Robot, VP of Business, and VP of PR. And Jenna, you want to explain more about that?
Yeah, so obviously each of the different VPs take on different sections. And so the budgeting and sponsorships mainly go under business, because that's where also we handle entrepreneurship, and that is also where the treasurer will be. And Mickey, did you want to explain more of like how that worked?
Sure. So as treasurer, like I mainly do reimbursements and purchase orders, but then also underneath the business sub team, we have the spirit and imagery team, and they work on like the logo design and Team Spider's branding. So that kind of all goes under business, because we have like the financial affairs and the team spiritware, like all on that side.
I think the biggest thing is the VP of Business is in charge of delegating the certain tasks that have to do with sponsorships and budget and graphics to the certain leads. And after that, the VP of Business communicates very much with the president. And that's how everyone kind of has an understanding. And that's how we communicate among the team to make sure everyone is aware of what's happening.
It's also to note that we work closely with coaches and the parents that help communicate and then connect with different businesses and make relationships do that.
Okay, we have Donnie asking, what do you mean by the money will show up? Your fundraising also looks very expensive.
So we actually get that a lot. People realize when it comes to our
we have a bit of mic feedback. If you aren't talking, could you please mute? Thank you.
Okay, is it good now?
No, we still have some feedback.
Okay, how about now?
That's better.
Okay, so when it comes, actually, we get it a lot. A lot of people think our team is expensive, but realistically, only around 30% of our budget comes from sponsorships. During the entire off season and even during the build season, we're consistently fundraising to be able to, fund all of our expeditions and adventures in our season. So it's just a really long process. Like even now during quarantine, we're constantly fundraising and looking for more ways to fundraise and even help other teams fundraise. And when they say the money will show up, I think part of it is since we're consistently always fundraising, we kind of have a consistent, flow of funding, since we're always putting so much work into it, and that's part of it. Having some people work on fundraising, some people work on the robot. It's just delegating tasks to different people on the team to make sure that everything's working and functioning.
I think also like the key to that phrase is to remember that not to stress too much about it. It's working towards the goals, and as long as you're determined and you keep trying, it will work out.
And I think when also just having the saying, the money will come, that doesn't mean go out and spend as much money as possible. You should still be aware of, budgeting and trying to be as cost efficient as possible. So just to keep that clear, so.
Okay, I think we have 2 more questions. We have Angel asking, what types of businesses do you target when looking for sponsors?
Basically any company, anyone who's interested in robotics and interested in supporting STEM in our community. We've had a wide variety of different businesses sponsoring us, some in government, some locally, some globally, some really big companies. So realistically, anyone who's willing, but specifically, I would say we target companies that have to do with STEM and who have maybe in the past, dipped their feet in robotics and FIRST.
Okay, and I think our last question, unless we get any more in the next couple seconds, is from Daniela. She asks, what are some key aspects that should be included in the fundraising plan?
So if definitely your team's vision, mission, and goals, that's super important.
Yeah. Also, as I said before, make sure you identify your target market because you want to be able to know who you're trying to market to because everyone is different. So you'll want to approach that marketing differently. And then also make sure you have your backup plan, the contingency plan, because things can go wrong and you want to make sure you're prepared for that. And I think that's the main,
basically sorry Jenna, you want to go?
Yeah, also you want to include visual aids because those are very helpful and easy to understand. Things like the donation tracking log or maybe graphs for budgets will make it really easy for other partners to understand.
And I think when it comes to your fundraising plan and business plan, just the biggest thing is being super transparent with exactly how you're spending your money. Because the thing that businesses want to see the most when they donate or when they give grants to your team is how is this team using the funds that we're giving them and how are they being successful with these funds? Because they don't want to fund your team for no reason, right? So I guess the biggest thing is just making sure that they have an understanding of where the funds are going and how it's actually helping your team. Because if they see your team, doing successful and doing well with the funds that they give you, it's probably a good chance that they're going to fund you again for oncoming years.
Okay, our last question, we got a new one in, is from Dr. Tracy Nguyen. She says, what's your favorite thing on Team Spider? And she also said, way to go earlier in the chat.
Okay, I'll go first. I think my favorite part about Team Spider would be during the build season because although it's super chaotic and everyone's stressed, it's really fun. We spend a lot of hours together. You get to know everyone very, very well, but everyone becomes a really big family and it's just fun to spend time with them. And then you go off to competitions and then you get to see your hard work play out on the field. And it's just I think that's my favorite part of Team Spider.
For me, I would say at first it was the competition season when you're in the pits, when you're talking to judges, when you're working on the robot, that adrenaline and rush just keeps you going and just ready for the next build season. But now I would say one of my favorite parts is the opportunities it gives, with public speaking, with reaching out to others, with learning different ways to do business and how to share the message of FIRST. I think those opportunities that I was scared to take at first is just one of my favorite parts.
So just like Jenna said, the opportunities are incredible. And as much as I love building the robot, I think the coolest thing that Team Spider does is the work that we do to spread STEM in our community and even globally. I had the opportunity last Thanksgiving to be able to travel to Paraguay with Team Spider, and we were able to host the first ever FIRST competition in Southern America, which is incredible. So just the opportunities that the team gives you, Also, competition's kind of fun.
Well, we actually got one more question, and I know I said that the last couple times, but this will be our last one because we're just about at our time. Dana says, how do you let your sponsors know what the resources are being used for?
Do you want me to answer that?
Sure.
Okay, so as some of you may know, the bond was recently, the bill of materials was recently removed from something mandatory you have to turn in. So even with the bill of materials removed, we want to continue to document every single thing that we spend money on, making sure that everyone on the team is aware of what we're spending money on, and then tracking exactly what money is being spent on what, so that our sponsors are aware of, hey, we're buying this with your money that you give us, or this is helping us go travel and compete at here. So the biggest thing is document what you're spending and making sure you have charts and everything just to keep track of the money that you have. Because one thing you definitely don't want to do is spend more money than you have. Probably a bad idea. So just document everything.
I think also communicating what your team has been successful in and how their funds have been helpful. Like, because of these funds, we've been able to travel, we've been able to enter these competitions. Those things will be helpful in communicating and building the relationship.
Mm-hmm. And something that we also do are press releases, which is what we release basically after any big event that happens. So it's pretty similar to what I was talking about earlier with newsletters and stuff. It has tons of information and exactly what the team's doing, what we're spending, what we're competing in, what the awards we've won, and we send it out to our district, parents, sponsors, basically everything. We're like an open book, basically.
And then going off of that, when Madeline was talking about documenting like all the money you've spent on past years, for rookie teams, I would recommend talking to other more experienced teams to get an idea of how much you might spend. And I think it's all about what I said earlier about planning ahead and like trying to think of what you'll spend money on, because although you're not there yet, you can still kind of like think about it and get a good idea of how much you're going to spend or like what you're going to need to spend money on. And that kind of shows the sponsor like, oh, I'm committed to this. I'm like actively thinking about it, and that I'm not like sitting back and waiting for it to like come to me. I'm like taking advantage and making the first step.
And especially when it comes to rookie teams, like start documenting ASAP, like as soon as you can. Because something that we wish that we kind of did was start documenting from our rookie years. We've been documenting it for a while, but it's kind of hard to get stuff from super, super long ago. So that's super important.
Take lots and lots of pictures
Exactly. Yeah, pictures of everything
you go to.
And then another thing with our sponsors is when we do approach sponsors, we give them multiple options than just giving us grants and sponsoring us. We tell them, hey, if you don't want to give us money, here are some materials that you could help us afford and buy, or here are some discounts that you can give us to help just support the team in general. So we tend to give them multiple options to sponsor a team, not just monetary value.
Well, thank you very much, Team Spider. We were so happy to have you guys give our first great presentation of the summer series. Everyone, you can join us tomorrow. I think we have some feedback going on again, if you guys wouldn't mind muting real quick.
Yeah, and if there are any more questions, feel free to contact us on our Instagram account, and there should be a contact through our website as well.
And everyone on the stream, thank you for your questions, and you guys can join us tomorrow for a strategy panel by Team 5199. They're going to be explaining their scouting process and strategy for team choices and match play. You can join us for our second session at 5:45 for machining, where teams 3476 and 5199 will be learning to incorporate and effectively use CNC milling and routing in your build. And lastly, our only third workshop of the series, in session 3, we'll have Fasteners at 6:30 with Team 3309. You can learn the basics of fasteners and how they are used in FRC. Thank you guys very much, and we hope to see you tomorrow. Bye.